Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Particularly in relation to Ramananda Roy and his talk with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy and his instructing or expressing Krishna Katha in association with Pradumna Mishra, both of which we discussed yesterday, I thought it would be nice to amplify the Leela that Mahaprabhu was displaying for our own reinforcement and edification and keeping us chaste and faithful. What are the principles that we invoke or use for examining from whom do we hear? In the talk with Ramananda Roy, the verse which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted as expressing the goal of life, according to authorized statements found in Scripture, the process of hearing is the core element in that verse. To hear, one has to hear, we'll say, without filters or without a predisposition that I already know. Of course, everybody, without exception, has some conception of life. If you don't have a conception of life that's received in a proper manner, you will have another conception of life. And that makes the process of hearing a little difficult because we already have, and the tendency to hear is we hear that which matches our conception of life. It resonates well. I say yes because it's my idea, or similar to my idea. That's not the standard. If that's the standard, we're not going to get very far. So, jnane prayasam udapasya. One has to give up or throw far away, completely reject the prior conceptions of life that we have due to speculative knowledge, particularly in relation to the Supreme, God, the goal. Like these nice little slogans that are here, extolling morality, and where's God in the picture? So, hearing is very important. In two very key verses of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says the same. After the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is saying the topmost system of yoga is bhakti, where one has faith, Shadhavan bhajate yomam, and in that faithful position one worships me and engages in my devotional service. That's the topmost form of yoga. Krishna then says, Tatshrinu, hear from me. How that can be performed. And then again, the first verse in the 9th chapter, most confidential knowledge chapter, Krishna says, I will explain. The process of hearing, right in Bhagavad Gita, in the whole of the Vedas, and specifically right in Bhagavad Gita, the process of hearing is so important. We mentioned this yesterday, the whole process of Bhagavad Dharma has as its foundation hearing and chanting. That's our life. So discriminating where we hear from is very important. through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's hearing from Ramananda Roy, one of the things you can say on the negative side, one of the qualifications that's not to be considered is the caste or the birth of the individual. Ramananda Roy and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or ashram is not the consideration. For example, Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, strictest of renunciates you can find, renunciation personified, he's described, would go and sit at the feet of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a householder, with 10 children involved in government service, and hear from him Srimad Bhagavatam. So the source of hearing is not ashram specific or birth specific or varna specific. But ye Krishna Tattvaveta say Guru Hoy. We heard that verse yesterday also from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying to Ramananda Roy, I want to hear from you because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, and it's true, you understand the essence of transcendental knowledge. I want to hear from you. Where did Ramananda Roy hear from? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a disciple of Ishwara Puri, and Ishwara Puri was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Another disciple, along with Ishwara Puri, if I have the name in my memory correct, is Raghavendra Puri, and he was the initiating spiritual master of Ramananda Roy. So he received knowledge from a proper source. So one who has received knowledge from a proper source is one consideration, where to hear from. I don't think it will be so much a problem with this group of devotees, but who knows? So I'll say it anyways. Sometimes there's an idea that floats around that says, as long as someone is speaking Bhagavad Gita, they're speaking the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, what can be wrong? They're speaking the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's all they talk about is Krishna. Krishna this and Krishna that and Bhagavatam this and Bhagavatam that. What can be the problem? If one has not heard in proper disciplic succession, it's a problem. In Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 9th canto, where the life of Lord Ramachandra is being described by Shukadeva Goswami, he says, I'm paraphrasing, there are many versions about the life of Ram, and I'm only going to speak from those that are authorized. And then he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam, and that was at the time of Shukadeva Goswami. And since the time of Shukadeva Goswami, do you think there's more or the same number of invalid versions of Srimad of Ramayana? Definitely more. And even where parents have their children read children's versions of Mahabharata and Ramayana and Bhagavatam, better watch it. Because even just the factual information, what to speak of spiritual potency, may be missing. Be very careful what you have your children listen to and grow up believing something that's practically offensive in some cases. One of my pet peeves is the Sagar series of Mahabharata. So popular in India. I remember being in Calcutta once, and those who have been to Calcutta, what to speak of those that lived in Calcutta, know what the city is like. It's a madhouse. So one morning, I was coming from Mayapur and came to Calcutta, and it was completely, there wasn't a taxi cab or a rickshaw on the street. It was Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, and I asked, what's going on? Is it a holiday? Or I said, no, it's the Sagar series is published or broadcast from 10 to 11 on Sunday morning, and everybody stops everything. So the whole of the nation is tuned into whatever it is that he was saying that Mahabharata is. Now, to his credit, he sought some direction and gave credit to the BBT and their version of different events. But there's some that he didn't pay attention, just out of creative license or whatever, created some things that are just wrong. Here's two of them. Maybe you've heard them before. When Maharaj Parikshit goes to chastise the personality of Kali, and very cleverly the personality of Kali falls at the feet of Maharaj Parikshit, so he's a king. Here's someone who's surrendered to me, so I'll give you protection. You're accepting shelter in my kingdom. So he offers his so far it's okay. He offers his places where he can reside. Where there's sinful activity, oh, there's no sinful activity in your whole kingdom. That's the whole world. You haven't given me a place to live. Okay, where there's hoarding of gold, there will be sinful activity. Ah. And then through really funky technology, it shows the personality of Kali goes into the crown of Maharaj Parikshit. Because there's gold. And personality Kali resides where there's gold, and so he zoomed himself into the crown of Maharaj Parikshit and corrupted Maharaj Parikshit, so that fast forward in time, Maharaj Parikshit comes to the door of the sage Shamak Rishi, and Kali goes, zoom, and Maharaj Parikshit loses it and offends the sage because of Maharaj Parikshit being influenced by Kali personified, because his crown is gold. Boo! Boo! Bogus. But the whole nation has grown up with that understanding now, because they weren't so careful about who they were hearing from. Then another is, when Maharaj Parikshit, after his curse, Maharaj Parikshit builds a big tower and a big giant pole that goes like, way high in the air, because snakes are on the ground and it's a snake bird that's going to bite him, and so he's staying away from the possibility of a snake. Of course, he's a snake bird, he can fly. And that's what he does in the, animation. But that's not Maharaj Parikshit. He's not overcoming the danger, the curse that he's been, by some tricky maneuver to get high on a high platform where the snake can't get him. That's not Maharaj Parikshit. Etc. One should be very careful where one hears from. Even it may be very popular. I'll take perhaps a little risk here and say, for some persons might be offended by hearing this, but Srila Prabhupada spoke very specifically about Tulsi Ramayan. And in certain parts of India, Tulsi Ramayan is what somebody grew up with, and it's Tulsi Ramayan. But there are places within Tulsi Ramayan, not the whole of it, but there are places that are explicitly impersonal. Brahman assumed a form, and that form was Ram. Brahman becomes covered. Mayavad philosophy. So, because of that tinge, Prabhupada recommended that we didn't hear. One should be discriminating where one hears from. And so, supposing you find someone who is speaking in disciplic succession, there's another factor that one has to consider very carefully. Also exhibited in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where a very elevated Vaishnav, esteemed, revered Vaishnav, Vallabhacharya, was visiting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri. And he was proud of his scholarship. And because he was proud of his scholarship, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to remove his pride. And so, when Vallabhacharya wanted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear his explanations of different things, sometimes his explanation of the holy name, and Lord Chaitanya said, there's only one meaning to the name of Krishna. You want to give me the meaning of the name of Krishna? There's only one meaning. He's the son of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Jasoda. That's Krishna. I don't need to hear some meaning. Or, I have a commentary on a particular passage from Bhagavatam that's superior to Sridhar Swami's commentary. Oh, one who thinks himself above Swami, he is unchaste. Swami is a way to address a superior, or a wife to address her husband. And one who is thinking oneself above one's husband, a wife who's thinking like that, this isn't good. I don't want to hear anything like that. Although Ballava was very qualified, learned, very spiritually advanced, but proud. So Mahaprabhu didn't want to hear from him. So he tried different things. He went to Gadadhar Pandit and said, "You hear from me. Here I have a wonderful writing, please listen." Gadadhar Pandit knew that Lord Chaitanya didn't like to hear. So he didn't want to go against what Lord Chaitanya didn't want. But he also didn't want to offend Vallabhacharya, because he's a very advanced personality, stuck between a rock and a hard place. Can't say yes and can't say no. So he just prayed to Lord Chaitanya within his heart, "Please understand my difficult circumstance and please forgive me." As Vallabha went on expounding his writing. Where there's pride, that's not a place to hear from. Because pride will contaminate. Just like it's said about cooking, it's also true about speaking. With cooking, devotees are very careful where they receive their meals from, because it's specifically described by Srila Prabhupada in Nectar of Instruction. Through the act of cooking, the consciousness of the cook is transmitted through the act of cooking into the food, and you eat the food and you're taking on the consciousness of the cook. So be very careful where you're eating from. And if you have the responsibility of being a cook, be in good consciousness. Not just in our temples, that the cooking that's offered to the deity should be performed by brahmanas. Very early that standard was established by Srila Prabhupada. And there's a reason. Their consciousness is being transferred in the act of cooking. And everyone's taking on whatever their consciousness is. And the same is through sound vibration. There may be right information, but if the person who is presenting that right information is proud, that consciousness is transmitted. Without getting specific here, we've already had a few experiences, more than one experience, where just walking into a place you can feel there's a lot of pride here. Whatever the teachings may be, I don't want to hear them without being specific. And the opposite, however simple one's understanding may be, I've been listening to the Srimad Bhagavatam series from Srila Prabhupada on Prahlad Maharaj, and this point he's emphasizing also that Prahlad Maharaj, although a small boy, he was just beginning school. He didn't have an education. He couldn't speak very sophisticated words and present things in a very, at least from a scholastic point of view. I think his prayers are fantastic, but in a unpolished manner, his speaking was more pleasing. The Supreme Personality of Godhead wanted to hear his prayers more than the prayers of the demigods, because of his devotion. So what's important is the purity of the speaker. We can say the purity that they're free from pride. Another qualification of Ramananda Roy was he had full control of his mind and senses. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was appreciating this when speaking to Pradyumna Mishra. Here's a person. Don't see them externally. Understand the capacity that they have, the qualification that they have to completely control their mind and senses. And in case you haven't noticed, that's not possible by mechanical means. It's possible by devotional means. It's a symptom or a quality of a great devotee. So when you have such appropriate qualities, someone who is free from speculative knowledge, they speak only in that message which is coming into cyclic succession, their heart is free from pride, and with that comes another one. One is free from the tendency for fault-finding. I intended to bring, I could look it up, but I don't have it in front of me. The Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in one verse from the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, details degrees of freedom from fault-finding, and then conversely, degrees of fault-finding. And one should hear from one who is free from the tendency for fault-finding, or that, because that's a sign of an elevated Vaishnava. When Ganga Mata Goswamini, before she was Ganga Mata Goswamini, she was Sachi. We heard this description in Puri. She went to Puri to find a spiritual master. She heard so much from the devotees in Puri about the elevated Vaishnavas in Vrindavan, she went to Vrindavan. Of all the Vaishnavas in Vrindavan, there was one that was particularly compelling as a qualified Vaishnava. And this particular Vaishnava is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita as one who was completely free from the tendency to criticize others. In fact, it said he only spoke of the glories of the Vaishnavas. And he was so exemplary in this way that persons wouldn't even dare to speak some criticism of Vaishnavas in his presence. Haridas Pandit. That was the person who Sachi wanted to hear from. Not only he knew Srimad Bhagavatam very nicely, he was a disciple of Ananta Acharya, who was a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit, and that way he heard the message. But the proper message was being transmitted purely because his heart was freed from tendency for fault finding. Haridas Thakur, for all of the atrocities that were perpetrated against him, he had nothing bad to say of the persons. He was petitioning the Lord for forgiveness of them for their activities, free from the tendency for fault finding. And thus Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to hear from Haridas Thakur about chanting of the holy name. In general, where we hear from is where over a period of time our faith is nurtured. And it's very important, the training that Srila Prabhupada gave us in the beginning of our Krishna conscious movement was that we should hear from him as our founder Acharya. And specifically, he warned us against hearing from outside. And his consideration was, if even one word is different, it's like sand that rubs and causes irritation in the heart. It can bring rise to doubt. Well, over here, this person said this, and over there, Prabhupada said that. So, which is right? Particularly in a beginning stage or less than mature stage, and I don't know who here wants to say that I'm at a mature stage, so I can hear anything. I can digest bullets. I can digest rocks. It's okay. I can hear anything. We should hear from a principal source where we find those qualifications, and specifically here within ISKCON. Shivaram Raj has written a book about hearing shiksha or spiritual instruction from outside of ISKCON. Not advising it. There's consequences if one doesn't heed that. One of the principal things is that Srila Prabhupada, amongst so many personalities in our whole Vaishnava history, recent particular Vaishnava history, uniquely empowered. So to receive that unique empowerment here within ISKCON, those who are strict followers of Srila Prabhupada within ISKCON, to get, and the reason for getting that mercy, that empowerment that is coming from Srila Prabhupada. Each one of his followers can't bear the fullness of Srila Prabhupada's empowerment. But that faithfulness connects us to that empowerment. The faith of Srila Prabhupada's faithful followers connects us to their faith in Srila Prabhupada and connects us to Prabhupada in that way. That's what being a member of ISKCON means. And there should be principal persons who we're hearing from, those who are our spiritual masters. We should hear principally. And those who are assisting us to nurture our faith in our spiritual master, and with the permission of our spiritual master to hear from those persons, that's fine also. But very important, this where we're hearing from, since hearing is so important. I have another topic I want to speak about, but I think what I would like to do is save my voice a little bit. And in the course of the last, whatever it's been, day or so, there hasn't been opportunity for discussion, because like we're moving quickly from one thing to the next thing. So not just on this topic here, but any of the discussions that we've had last while that you'd like to have some discussion about, please volunteer. Any questions? Yes.
I've been hearing about how there's no influence of karma or ashram in devotional life, but it's causeless mercy. And what's been bothering me is that I see instances where I feel that it's possibly causeless mercy, but the opportunities to do devotional service does come based on the person's karma or ashram, and it's also leading me to be more envious of the devotee rather than appreciating the causeless mercy in their life.
I didn't get it. Can you make it simple? Here. Real simple.
I probably wanted some elaboration on how even when there's causeless mercy, I should not be under the fact that opportunities for devotional service comes by karma or...
Well, here's one that rings very strongly in my life. Srila Prabhupada said, I know that you are thinking that you have become devotees because of your past piety. Your past pious deeds have brought you to devotional service. He said, that's not the case at all. I found you in some dark place. I've grabbed you by the hair and I'm dragging you. And still you're fussing and kicking and flailing. But I'm taking you to Krishna. Another way to address that is it possible that something material can generate something spiritual? Past piety, however tall the pile might be, that you can reach the spiritual realm, the house of bhakti that way. You can climb through the window or through the roof down the chimney or something. Material, however much piety or knowledge one has, it can't bring one to the realm of devotional service. Rather, what's the cause of bhakti is the mercy of a bhakta, someone who's carrying bhakti. For a more elaborate explanation, you can read the first chapter of Madhurya Kadambini, where Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur asks the question, how does bhakti begin? And then he says, some people say this and some people say that, and he gives a long list, and then he refutes the list. And the one that he's accepting is a Madhyama Bhakta carrying bhakti in their heart spills a little bhakti on you. And you get bhakti-ized. You get mercy. That's how it happens. Someone who's in the Madhyama position, who has power of attorney from Krishna to deliver Krishna. And they deliver Krishna. Or they deliver the means to reach Krishna through devotion to Krishna. By their mercy, they engage you in some service to Krishna. That's how bhakti begins. And it's not something else. It's not karma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur expresses in a different way, similar, but in a different way. He expresses that there are unknowing sukritis, agyata sukriti, bhakti unmukhi sukriti is his term, where unknowingly one may engage in devotional service. Like Prabhupada was just hearing this morning, Prabhupada was saying, by imitation even, people may come to the temple, and when they see all of you paying your obeisances, the Didi curtain opens and you pay your obeisances, and they think, oh, it's etiquette to pay obeisances, so they pay obeisances. They're engaging in devotional service. They're not understanding why it's devotional service. It's just, they're being polite, that's all. Some persons are too proud, they can't do that. But even that beginning of, through association, the process of bhakti begins. Or we go on Harinam Sankirtan. And not so much here, but more in the West, people see Harinam Sankirtan and they imitate, they make fun. You've seen. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And they'll come out and dance, engaging in devotional service.
Can I ask one follow-up question?
Yeah, keep it simple.
So with this mercy being given by the Madhyamadhikari, I was thinking everybody is given the same mercy. So what should be my mood when I see that the other devotee is receiving the mercy better than I am? Rather than being jealous, envious, I would rather want to be in a prayerful mood. So I was wondering if you could tell me how to do that.
If another devotee is making spiritual advancement, and you're in that other devotee's association, you'll make more advancement. Or, if Krishna's being pleased more, that's the goal. Krishna's being pleased. Let go of, on the other hand, let go of the competitive spirit that we're all too conditioned by and familiar with in the material world. If somebody wins, that means I lose. If somebody's got something, I'm not going to get that something. But Krishna's not a poor man. He has unlimited mercy. And if someone's getting mercy, let me get that association of that person who's getting mercy and learn how to get mercy. And serve that person who's getting mercy, and then I then become a little eligible. More eligible. By serving that person who's capable of getting mercy. But that takes a humble heart. And it means letting go of the competitive tendency. Win-lose. That's the material. And we're, as much as we can understand it, we're conditioned by it. And it's so easy to go there. So say no to that. say no to that by saying a strong yes to something else. Serve the devotees. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, in the class it was discussed that one should not hear from one who has pride in the heart. Many a times we get an opportunity to preach or say something about Krishna, and I know that I'm full of pride.
So we shouldn't hear from you.
So what should be our mood and what should we do?
That's the next class. The next topic I want to discuss is when we're preaching or singing or speaking or in some way representing, we're on the delivering side, what should be our consciousness? This is on the receiving side. Stay tuned. Anyone else? Oh.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, you've been speaking about fearlessness. So, what does one do if one has the tendency of fear in relationships with Vaishnavas, because the fear thing is too much that having had some bad experiences of entering into space or losing a relationship, and ultimately that has happened. So what does one do to get out of this fear in the relationships?
Specifically fear of losing relationships? Losing relationships because of offenses? Guard against offenses. Doesn't mean throw the baby out with the bathwater. If our means of purification is serving the Vaishnavas, and if I have made an offense in the course of my interactions with another Vaishnava, and now that other Vaishnava, the relationship is broken or the person is distanced, let me try to amend that situation by, at least from a distance, serving that Vaishnava, if not explicitly and directly serving that Vaishnava, and guard against offenses. But you must have thought of that, so where's the fear? Fear is that history repeats itself. In Prahlad Maharaj's talk with Lord Nrsingadev, he speaks both of fearlessness and fear. And the fearlessness is in seeing all the horrific features of Lord Nrsingadev, his bloody mane and a garland of intestines. Imagine seeing someone like that. Sharp, pinching teeth, his ears standing erect, roaring so loud that elephants flee in distant directions. Elephants flee in fear. I'm not afraid. But there is something that I'm afraid. Oh, what is that? I'm afraid of material existence and the attraction for material existence. So there's a place for fear. At the same time, there's a place for fearlessness. A nice Prabhupada story in this connection is in Srila Prabhupada's schedule, the afternoon time, after lunch, he would take a short nap, and in the afternoon after he woke, he would have some time for receiving guests. And if there weren't guests, then he would sometimes have like a private darshan with different devotees. So on one occasion it was like that. There were a number of devotees in Prabhupada's room, and he was having some fun with them. He asked the question, what's the difference between me and you? And the devotees were having fun saying, Srila Prabhupada, you're this, and Srila Prabhupada, you're that, and glorifying Srila Prabhupada to their heart's content. And Prabhupada was not accepting the answer that he was looking for. And then, just at the very end, it was time to go in and attend the evening program. Prabhupada said, the difference between me and you is you can fall down and I cannot. Jai Prabhupada! And then they all went to the temple to greet the deities and Guru Puja and class, and then back into his quarters. And the person who was Prabhupada's servant at the time said, Srila Prabhupada, when you were greeting the deities with your hands folded like this, you were saying some prayers. Do you mind letting me know what were those prayers? Prabhupada said, yes, I was praying to Krishna, please let me never fall down into Maya. And he said, but Prabhupada, you were saying before the difference between yourself and us is that you won't fall down and we can. And Prabhupada said, now you know why. I am always praying to Krishna, please protect me from the allurements of Maya. So, not exactly fearful, but not being flirtatious with Maya either. Not being, let me see how far I can go out on the limb before the limb starts to crack. So be very careful in your dealings with Vaishnavas. That's where your attention should go, and that will check the fear. It'll be proper conduct rather than being careful in the other kind. Anything else? Wow. It's the heat of the midday. You're digesting your breakfast. Right here. Put your hand up. Put your hand up.
Guru Maharaj, this is with respect to me. I won't take the person's name, but one of my dear relatives, and so they've been inquiring about Krishna consciousness, and to whatever extent I know, I've been answering them. But there is a certain block in receiving the message, or maybe they don't get it.
This is relatives or students or?
Relatives.
Relatives, okay.
So there is a certain block that I sense that, they can't receive that. So meanwhile, is there something that one can do to, it seems to me that it's because of this non-acceptance of the message that they're not able to take a step forward, placing faith in chanting or associating with devotees or taking shelter of a Vaishnava and things like that. Or are these the steps to be taken?
Yeah. Two, maybe three core principles with relatives, but in particular. Serve. And serve and serve and serve and serve. Rather than, before, let them see qualities in you that attract them. Even specifically, changes in you from whatever you were before to what they see today. They see, wow. Teach by example, by your qualities, so that the time will come when they'll start to ask, what's going on? Second is, probably this doesn't apply to you, but commonly applies to persons when they're with relatives. Be normal. Whatever that means to the other person, be normal. Because relatives often are thinking, you've become a fanatic. Religious is one thing, but you're a fanatic. And you won't do this, and you won't do that, and you get up in the morning, and you can't do this, and you can't eat that, and you're a fanatic. So, I don't want anything to do with fanatic. You can be fanatic and be happy, but don't push that on me. That's part of the resistance. So, in your everyday dealings with them, or let all cordialities be very nice. I'll appreciate Subal a little bit. This wasn't with relatives, but on the train ride coming here, we were in a compartment with a husband and wife and this little yogi. And at least 6 times, Subal spoke very respectfully, very politely, perfect gentleman. Even had to correct him a little bit about, where his wife would sit, not next to me, but can you arrange? And it was done very, very nicely, to the point where the man, on our way out, he just wanted to make sure we got off the car safely, so he left. It was late at night, and his wife is asleep, and the child's asleep, and he was asleep, and he got out just to see us off. Well-wishing, because of such cordial dealings. When we show good qualities, it speaks volumes to others. Then because they want to see, they can't appreciate the philosophy, but they can appreciate the behaviors of the devotees. So, one other matter here is when relatives are in their own comfort zone, their familiar setting where they have their social network and all their social obligations and all their stuff, it's real hard for them to move. But it's much, much easier if those same persons can be out of their comfort zone, their own space, and when they spend time with devotees abroad or wherever, like out of their own space, and for a period of time, can see how devotees live and why they do what they do, then they can be more accepting, much more readily. They don't want to be judged by their peers. Like, that's their security, being accepted, and they don't want to move from being accepted. They want to be accepted. That's the space they've created with their life. Once that little crossing that line takes place, then it becomes an internal cultivation that over a period of time grows. And in some cases, I can say in my own family, it's they don't want to let go of what they're doing. And I'm not trying to get them to let go of what they're doing. But their appreciation has grown in part because I haven't done that. Whatever they inquire, I answer. And their appreciation of the movement, the Hare Krishna movement, has grown just because of my becoming a devotee, in the way that I've become a devotee. They respect the movement, although they're not practicing it. And that's progress. Like Navayovana was sharing, persons that from the period of time that they've been visiting in Simachalam, because over a period of time, those who were resistant are now appreciative. And that's progress. They're not practicing. So if those who are relatives can make that step, that's a big step. And it's a little bit of like what happens, I'm sure you've had this experience at Penn State, where there's a group of students, and if one of the students steps forward, what happens? The other students say, "Oh, don't go there. You know what they do," and blah, 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 and, come back over here. Oh. If someone steps out of line. So with relatives, it's a little bit like that too. One steps forward, the others might go and pull them back. And they don't want to breach that relationship thing. But if someone, through some change of heart, does step forward, and they keep moving, then what happens with some other relatives is they start considering, I can step forward too and it's okay. So, your brother or whoever it is that has some inclination, just where there's inclination, work with that person. Support that person, not too much at once, because they'll think, oh, here's another fanatic in the family. And that will help the rest of the relatives or family members move. But back to the, being normal. When they see that there's a normal life, like, we have families and we have jobs and we do normal things, and they're very nice people, these people that you associate with. When relatives can see others like yourself, because you're a family member. Like Prabhupada said, a preacher, something to the effect that a preacher is never appreciated in his hometown, because they see him according to their bodily relations from when he was little growing up. But if somebody from out of town comes and, they don't know that person and they show nice qualities and nice teachings and nice behavior. Oh, these are the people that you associate with. And then they're all like that. They're all very nice. I've had some devotees that have attended this, not this one, but other yatras. And just by attending the yatra and seeing, they had no experience at all, relatives, no experience at all. And by seeing, just see how cooperatively these devotees work together, and they help each other with each other's children, and they have austerities, but they're not whining and complaining, and they're they're very nice people. That helped move them to be ready to hear by that association. To hear and consider, and then now they're practicing, strongly. Some adults have described like that. That was my experience, coming to situations like this. So, where it's comfortable for family members to take association of devotees in a broader context besides just yourself, or another grahasta couple visiting, and they see, look at this couple. Look at how our son or daughter, the kind of friends they have. They're wonderful. By qualities. Okay? Anything else? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Ram